WAAAAAY. It's a gas giant, a little bigger than Jupiter. One side of the planet is boiling hot, the other is freezing cold, and that extreme difference creates violent winds blowing tens of thousands of miles an hour. Those winds scoop up the exact same materials that make rubies and sapphires and blow them into the freezing side of the planet. Oh, and the water high up in its sky? It gets so hot, it actually glows in the dark like fireworks. HD 189733b. If you looked at this planet from a spaceship, you'd probably think it was just like Earth. But that's a trap. That beautiful blue color doesn't come from water. It comes from an atmosphere filled with silicate, the exact same stuff we use to make glass. Because this planet sits right next to its sun, temperatures hit 1,700 degrees, melting that silicate into drops of liquid glass. Add in winds whipping around at over 5,000 miles per hour, and you get endless storms where molten glass rains completely sideways. If you stood there, you'd be shredded instantly. And if that wasn't bad enough, the James Webb Telescope just found out the atmosphere is loaded with hydrogen sulfide. That's the chemical that gives rotten eggs their smell. So, it's a boiling, sideways glass hurricane that reeks of rotten eggs. LHS 1140b. This one is known as the eyeball planet, and it is incredibly unsettling to look at. It's a rocky planet larger than Earth, but it's almost completely frozen solid. One side of the planet always faces its star, and the other is permanently locked facing the freezing dark of deep space. Because of this, the dark side is just a massive shield of ice, but right in the dead center of the side facing the sun, the heat is strong enough to melt the ice into a giant, deep ocean thousands of miles wide. If you looked at this planet from space, it literally looks like a massive, unblinking eyeball staring directly at its sun. The dark center of the eye is the deep ocean, and the white part is the endless frozen wasteland surrounding it. J1407b. You could call this one Super Saturn. It has rings, but they are 200 times larger than the rings around our Saturn. They stretch out over 50 million miles wide. To put that in perspective, if you swapped our Saturn with this planet, its rings would dominate our entire night sky. But the scariest part is what happens when this giant moves in front of its own sun. The rings are so incredibly massive and thick that they block out almost all the light. If you were standing on one of its moons, the rings would create an eclipse that blocks the sun for 56 days in a row. You would be plunged into total freezing darkness for nearly 2 months, just because the giant rings got in the way. WASP 12b. The scenery on this world is one of the scariest in the universe. Even though light hits this planet, almost none of it bounces back. It is so pitch black that it swallows 94% of the light that reaches it. But the reason it's so dark is what makes it truly disturbing. It orbits incredibly close to its star, making the day side around 4,700 degrees. At that heat, normal clouds can't form, and anything that might reflect light is instantly destroyed. If you looked at it, you'd just see a faint, terrifying red glow like heated metal. But it gets worse. The star's gravity is so intense that it is physically stretching the planet into the shape of a rugby ball and actively ripping its atmosphere away. WASP-12b is quite literally being eaten alive by its own sun, and scientists estimate it only has a few million years left before it is completely devoured. TOI 1853b. We call this one the Iron Bullet. It's about the same size as Neptune, but it is composed almost entirely of bare, heavy metals. Scientists believe this planet is the survivor of a massive, violent cosmic crash. It probably started as a normal planet, but then it was hit by another giant object moving at unimaginable speeds. The crash was so completely devastating that all the lighter parts of the planet, the water, the rocky surface, and the atmosphere, were completely splashed off into deep space. The only thing left behind is a dense, bare metal core. If you tried to walk on its surface, the gravity would be so strong it would feel like being crushed flat by a giant invisible hand. 55 Cancri E. This is a super-Earth, meaning it's a rocky world like ours, but much heavier. And that is where the similarities end. This world orbits so close to its star that an entire year lasts less than 18 hours. It is completely locked in place, so the day side faces the burning sun and temperatures reach over 4,000 degrees. It is so hot that instead of oceans of water, this planet is covered in a massive global ocean of boiling liquid rock. The extreme heat causes this magma ocean to bubble and release gases continuously, creating a thick, heavy sky. It is basically a real-life version of hell.